Can anybody hear me? We don't have fancy stuff here at Aiko's channel. We're going to start a little early. Less than 2 minutes. If you can hear me in the chat, let me know. Okay. Hi, everyone. I got new hair. It's not blue anymore. It is now red, like my bleeding soul. So you guys can hear me? Okay, cool. Cool. So how is everyone? Happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. I am not very religious. I celebrate Easter because I like the commercial aspect. I like rabbits. I like cute little things that are colored in pastels. And that's about my extent of Easter. So it is April, which is my birthday month, which means we got to change the calendar to the newest, haven't gotten that down, BTS member, because I'm lame, but I like it. And yes, Shane, I know my picture is crooked, but I don't want to put another hole in the wall because I rent. Hi, everyone. So, yes, my hair is red now. And I had some lady in the office cut it the other day because her internet was out and it was so frizzy. I just said, cut it. So she cut it with the lights off in the bathroom. I will get it styled once I get more money, but there is more stuff to worry about right now. So, yeah. This is like, I'm getting white too, white hair, because I'm stressed out. So I hope everybody had a good week. I had a little bit of a rough one, but we're getting there. So some of you guys already know what we're talking about today. It's not like forgotten Asia, like people completely forgot about these areas, but it's more like interesting places in Asia that nobody really hears about unless like they're looking for it. So there's some interesting ones I've already known about, some that I didn't know about, which one I was really mad about. And you guys get a PowerPoint presentation, but I printed out slides so I know what we're looking at so I don't look so confused. So you guys get the power of the PowerPoint presentation. So 1 second. What about now? Is there sound now? What about now? Can you guys hear me now? You know, it was going really good. Okay. It was going good until I did that. Well, hold on. Can you guys hear the sound now? Hold on. I'll wait. Okay. Well, let me start this PowerPoint presentation over. Okay. Okay. TT, you guys didn't get to see the full effect then. See? Look at that freaking PowerPoint magic. We don't need a little board to make that happen. So, Kowloon Walled City. As I said, something controversial yet brave, according to Trixie Mattel. I consider Hong Kong its own country, even though it is a special administrative region of China. I don't consider it one. So, right here, I've been to Hong Kong mostly just in the airport because I was stuck there for 8 hours. The airplanes literally go like barely basically anything over. It goes right through there to the airport. It is scary as hell. But Kowloon Wall City is this thing right here. It's no longer up. It was demolished in 1993. But Kowloon Walled City was 119 times denser than New York City, with over 33,000 citizens that created this city. They built it up just by putting little boxes basically on top of boxes on top of boxes. And it never got higher than 13 or 14 stories high because the only regulation that Hong Kong or China gave to it was it can't be over 14 stories because of low-flying airplanes. So when it was built after, it used to be a military fort, and more people moved in after World War II, after the Japanese occupation of Hong Kong. So it was pretty much a lawless center because it was a lawless city, I guess you could say. And every business imaginable ran there, like medical services, restaurants, and whatnot, and kind of like a whole bunch of misfits or people that just couldn't afford to like live in Hong Kong because it's so expensive. And everyone moved into this little city, and it was lawless, as I said. And they're literally like, can you imagine 119 times denser than New York City? Because I can't. And there was only one mailman. That's something really interesting. But there was only one photographer, Greg Gillard, I think his name was, this is his pictures. He stayed there for like a couple years, maybe 3 or 4, not a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 years and took pictures. So like it was so dense that towards the bottom, even if it was daylight, you couldn't see sunlight. So there was about, I think 33, maybe 40 was the top number of people that lived there at one time. It was basically just buildings stacked on top of buildings, stacked on top of buildings. And during the day, like I said, business would operate. People from Hong Kong would go there because this, like the services for like dentistry and medical services were considerably cheaper. But since it was like kind of like in an odd spot because China technically had some like legality in the area, and Hong Kong technically had some legality in the area, but anything went there and they just couldn't like really control it, like anything that happened there. So there was like no like FDA like we have in America. There was no like food regulations, drug regulations, so people could practice medicine or dentistry without a license. And so it was super cheap there. So like if you can imagine somebody like chopping up your food on like cement, like next to a sewer with like no gloves or sanitation, that's like the kind of like grossness I'm talking about. But I've lived in China, like they kind of have the same thing in some areas, and I never got sick. So this is what the outside looked like. And I thought that was pretty crazy. It's just like literally how many, I forgot exactly how many like square meters it was off the top of my head, but it was very interesting looking to me. And it was so damp down there because like the light couldn't get there, and it was so wet and moist that a lot of people would hang out on the rooftops, but it was super dangerous because there's also no building regulations. This is what it looks like down at the bottom. Well, what it looked like down at the bottom. So like I said, it's damp. You can't see the sunlight because all the buildings are stacked up on top of each other. And this was like what the rooftops look like. So people would hang up there to get sunlight, but it was dangerous because, like I said, no building regulations. The apartments were really cramped. So they tore that down in 1994. The Hong Kong government offered $350 million in compensation to about the estimated 33,000 residents. Many took it, some didn't. Some refused to leave until the last day, but they ended up taking it down. Completely torn down in 1994. They ended up rebuilding a park on top of it. So it's much nicer, but it was kind of interesting. Like I guess they said that there was a high crime rate there, which during the day, all the normal businesses operated, but at night, all the businesses that were legitimate turned into like, strip clubs, gambling, sort of crime kind of activities. But I guess like future like reports showed that like active crime wasn't as high as like the government made it seem like. They just wanted to tear it down. So Kowloon City, that's no longer there, but I think it was absolutely fascinating. Now we're gonna get to some fun stuff. Tian Du Chen. Look at the PowerPoint magic. This is something fascinating, and Shane thought this was fascinating too. This is not Paris, people. This is Zhejiang, China, which is a city in the province of Hangzhou. China has this thing where they make copycat cities of famous places in the world, and they say the phenomenon is kind of like get more tourists to go there, but a lot of tourists aren't really attracted there. They say it's because a lot of people that live in China either can't afford to travel outside of the country, or being communist, maybe like their traveling plans are kind of like hindered because of stuff doing with that. So it kind of brings like a kind of Western or European sense of the world like within their reach. So this is actually a replica, 400-foot Eiffel Tower replica. And this city covers 12 square meters, and it's all Parisian architecture. So Zhejiang, China is right here. And I actually lived in Zhejiang. My Chinese is terrible. The city of Zhejiang in Hangzhou, China for like 5 or 6 weeks. It's a beautiful city. And I didn't realize this is where I went to school down here in this little red circle. I did not realize that this city was right here, which is exactly 36 minutes away. I could have partied in the China of Paris. So I kind of regret that I didn't know anything about that. Look at how close it is. Like I used to go down this road. It was like Lushu elevated road, and my school was right here. And I got drunk right here once and crawled across this road called Shishi Road at like 2 a.m. So surprised I didn't get arrested, but the drinks there are super cheap. So you can tell all the architecture. They say that they put so much money into this, and they literally build these replica cities in like less than 3 years. I think one of them were even built in a year. But this city was built to have about, in 2007, for around 10,000 residents, and about only 2,000 people live there. A lot of people don't visit there. They thought that maybe the Parisian architecture and like building it as like a wealthy area would bring a lot of the wealthier people in from the city into like this more spread out kind of area, but it didn't happen because it's inconveniently placed between farmland. So there's nothing around it. So a lot of people don't really go. Mostly people go to do wedding photos. So like, and they just hang their laundry up. So like this is like a view from one of the apartments. And so in China, they don't use dryers a lot. So people hang their clothes up on the balcony. So if you go to China, tons of people hang their clothes up on balconies. I, from habit, still hang my clothes up to dry all over my bathroom. So a lot of people just go there to take photos to make them look fancy. There's actually a French resort there. I don't know if it'll let me show you. Let me see. Let me see. I'll show you later. I don't want to mess up a good thing. There's a French resort there that actually only costs like 96 US dollars a day. I'll show you at the end because I don't want to ruin the stream. Yeah, it's bizarre. It is bizarre, but beautiful. So, yeah. And I guess they put a lot of money into this. So they say that it's underappreciated now, but some of it is so down to like the detail of how like actual Parisian architecture is that some people go there to these copycat replica cities and they can't tell the difference. There is actually a replica London Bridge in China that I think is bigger than the original that looks just like it. If you think I'm kidding you, look up London Bridge, China. So there's actually also a Jackson Hole, Wyoming, China, which is another copycat place. It's an example of the Chinese fascination with the West in terms of culture and architecture. And mostly, I think about the aesthetic of like openness and freedom and being able to be full of hope, you know, the American dream, or as we like to call it here, the meritocracy myth, because we all know America is not the land of the free. So these pictures is from Adam J. Smith. He actually made a movie called Americaville, which I think it just stopped showing like special screenings in this February of this year. But there is a designer from Portland, Oregon named Allison Smith, I think her name was. And she helped design all of this Western Wyoming inspired architecture. So like it's interesting because this is like a Christian church in China. Religion, unless it can be controlled by the Communist Party, it really can't take place. So like Catholic churches are allowed to run because the Catholic Church is allowed to control who picks the heads of what. But like regular Christianity is kind of like pushed down, that kind of thing. So there's like if you look at YouTube and type in Jackson Hole, China, like they have like people playing softball, like they preach about freedom and like the American dream. And it's really interesting because, you know, being communist or not. And the Chinese name for this place translates to hometown USA. And they really push that. So this is like some of the banners that they use to promote the city with. And a lot of wealthy people actually moved there. If you saw the quote, they're actually expanding it because so many people are moving to this area. And they have it. It is crazy how American it is. It's even more American than some American towns. And it's interesting, like I said, that they're allowed to kind of like preach like, you know, freedom and whatnot because it's a communist country. But I don't know. I guess it's doing fairly well. A lot of people are moving there. And I would like to visit there one day. I was kind of wondering if my channel got bigger, if maybe I could get the director, what was his name? Adam J. Smith, to maybe come on because he has, that's going to open a link. I'll go to the link later because he has a website and stuff that you can contact him because he's actually, I think he might be from the original Jackson Hole, Wyoming. One of the article from the Atlantic was written by a guy that actually lives in the original one. But as you can see, like here, like these models of homes that they're selling, they sell for 180 to 330,000 US dollars. The average Chinese worker makes 4,000 US dollars a year. So like they're selling these to the wealthy because it's like open and more free. So a lot of people are buying into this, which is rather fascinating. Yeah, it is kind of hypocrisy. I'm going to tell you one thing, SoCal Valley girl. The only thing, when I lived in China, I was expecting like, you know, this dark regime, which you really didn't feel anything communist until you couldn't do something. But if you go into a country like expecting like you can't do certain things, like, okay, I can't go on Facebook, I can't go on religion sites, I can't go on social media. Like I already knew that. So I wasn't too taken aback by it, but it pretty much felt like the United States, like, except like the class gap is huge. Like the lady that cleaned my dorm lived in a closet-sized room with no window with 6 people. And then I would go down the street to Starbucks and people were driving like Phantoms and Rolls Royces and had like $20,000 purses. Yeah, I'll put the link to the movie. I have the link. I'll put it up there in the video if I can. I think I might have put it in the description. It's not out yet. Now this one is actually one that's still around. It's abandoned, Hashima Island, and this is in Japan. And Hashima Island is, let's see. So Japan, Hashima Battleship Island. It's right down here. The city of Nagasaki actually owns it now. Um, it's an abandoned island. It's about 9 miles off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan. It's about 16 acres. It's called Battleship Island, or its Japanese name is Gukanjima. And it was a coal mining island that was mostly active between 1887 and 1974. And it was, what was it? In the beginning of the late 1930s, the end of World War II, it was like its height of like the coal, I guess, that they were doing. And they actually took Korean and Chinese prisoners of war. They were forced to work under horrendous conditions here on this island. And some of you might recognize this imagery, because it was actually in, what was it? The James Bond film Skyfall, I think it was. And it was on a 2018 series on Netflix called Dark Tourist. It's actually, if you can see by the quote here, it was actually brought into the, what is it? The World Heritage Sites in 2015. Interesting enough, the car company Mitsubishi actually bought this island in, what was it, in the 1890s, and they owned it until 2002, until the ownership was transferred over to the city of Nagasaki. In the 1960s, about 5,300 people lived on this island, and so there was a lot going on at the time. So now it's like abandoned. You can visit it. Like I think like 70% of the island is off limits though, because it's dangerous. But like it's just completely abandoned, and it's really creepy, in my opinion. It looks like it would be interesting to go to. But yeah, the UNESCO, it's a World Heritage Site as of 2015 because it falls under the sites of Japanese Meiji Industrial Revolution of iron and steel shipbuilding and coal mining, which was between 1850 and 1910, which this caused controversy. Like I said earlier, during the 1930s, the Japanese Imperial Army brought Korean and Chinese prisoners of war there and forced them to work in these underground coal mines. And about 1,300, I think, was an estimate of the people that died. And when the Japanese brought it up that they wanted this to be a World Heritage Site, China and Korea was like, what the hell? You took our people there and as prisoners and forced them to work in such dangerous conditions, and they died. And you want to like promote this as something that's like important to your heritage. So they said, okay, we'll put something up, putting that part in. And then they got accepted as a World Heritage Site. And now the Japanese don't put that in there. It's kind of what they do when they have bad publicity in terms of World War II. So this is what it looked like in its heyday. Families lived there. A lot of like the dangerous work was done by the POWs. But there were still families there, and like the coal miners that worked there that were Japanese, but like towards the World War II era, mostly it was just people that were prisoners of war. So these are just a couple pictures, well, a few pictures of what it looked like at its heyday. So I thought that was creepy. I would really like to visit the island, but it's extremely dangerous, I guess. So let me stop that real quick. Let me go back to my main screen. I probably talked too fast. So before, I know, I want to visit there. I think it would be really cool. No, before I like finish talking about all my smart stuff. China. So like when we looked at the copycat cities, their rapid rate of urbanization was something that was being promoted in the 1970s due to the economic and social reform and catching China up after the Cultural Revolution when the Communist Party took over, catching China up with the rest of the industrialized first world nations, because there wasn't a lot of cities that were modern and industrialized after the Communist Party came to power. So I think what was it in the 1950s, only 13% of people lived in cities in China. In 2010, 45% of the Chinese population lived in cities. And by 2030, they say 65 to 70% of China's population are going to live in urban areas. China is one of the only countries in the world that has been able to urbanize their landscape at the rate that they have. No other country, not the Europe, United States, have been able to build cities at such a rapid rate that China has. They have literally built some of those copycat cities in less than a year. Full cities built for 21 million people, because 24 of the largest cities in the United States, I mean, sorry, my kids, 25 of the largest cities in China, in the world, are in China. And they are able to build these things up in like literally like a few years, which usually takes other industrialized modern countries up to 100 years. So you have to think about that. By 2030, 60 to 70% of their population is going to live in urban areas. So I thought that was interesting. There are some haunted ones, which I wanted to save for a special series about haunted. I just wanted to talk about some interesting ones that a lot of people have never heard. So I was going to show, let me see. Let me show you something real quick. And then I'll take questions if there's questions. So first, this was that resort I was talking about. So this is the resort that's in that French town. It looks so freaking nice. And it's only $90 American a night to stay here. And this is this is the only place I think that accepts foreign tourists. So like that looks incredibly nice to me. I would pay $90 to stay there a night. But I guess like the town's basically abandoned. People go there for wedding photos. The people that live there, they basically say it's like half unfinished. So there's not, all the businesses there are shuttered up. So like it's just for show basically. But I mean, I would pay $90 to go there. I don't know about you guys. I mean, besides the whole communism thing, that's pretty nice for the price. And then the China film, the Americaville. Let me see. I'm trying to get used to like how to use all this stuff. This is the Americanville. It's gonna like start playing a little thing here soon. I think it's supposed to, anyways. So Americaville, yeah. If you go to America intro, but I think my internet's not okay. I'm not gonna play any sound because I don't know what's gonna play, and I guess there's something called copyright. Well, it looks like it's not gonna play for me, but anyways, yeah, this is like in the hidden mountains of Beijing. I forgot to like put that in there, but it looks just like America, and it hasn't actually been released yet. I don't think, but I think it's like I was thinking about maybe getting a license for it to play it. That would be cool because it's like educational technically, right? Am I considered educational or controversial? Can I be controversial and educational? I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to stop the screen for now. Yeah. Yeah, my birthday is the 21st. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys, I haven't looked at the chat a lot. My internet is going terrible. It says it's going terrible. It says I have like literally my connection to Wi-Fi is unstable. Yes, if I can get we could watch it in Discord. So I'm sorry that was really, really, really super fast. My kids are here, and I'm like basically right now. I like semi-threaten them with like groundings, and then promise them when like all these like projects that they stay in the bedroom. They're kind of doing that, kind of not. But I found a good idea. I bought a book, okay, guys? Because one of the important things when you're doing research is the internet can say anything, but unless you have like an accredited degree or like your stuff has been checked out in scholastic journals, it doesn't really mean crap. My electricity just flickered, so if I disappear, it's because of that. But there is something I wanted to talk about, and it was about cannibalism in modern China. And I read about it online, but I couldn't find anything that had any like definitive like facts. But I found a hard to find book that I am going to actually do. I'm going to do like a. It's called Tales of Cannibalism in Modern China. And it talks about this compelling book provides a meticulously documented account of officially sanctioned, the main point there, officially sanctioned cannibalism in the southwestern province of Guangxi during the Cultural Revolution. And drawing on his unique access to local archives of the Chinese Communist Party and an extensive interviews with party officials, the victims, relatives, and the murderers themselves, Zhen Yi paints a disturbing picture of official compliance and the systematic killing and cannibalization of individuals in the name of political revolution and a class struggle. This treasure trove of evidence Zhen Yi has unearthed offers unprecedented insights into the way the internecine factual struggles of the Cultural Revolution reached a horrifying level of insanity and frenzy among the ethnic Zhuan people of Guangxi. Profoundly moving, acutely observed, and unflinchingly graphic, Scarlet Memorial is a shining example of genre investigative reporting that courageously and independently records obscure and official censored, this has all been censored by the government, historical events revealing hidden dimensions of modern Chinese history and politics. This book is so hard to find. Even I don't like to have the Kindle version, okay? I don't like something that looks like a book. It confuses me. I need to hold it. I like to turn it over when I'm done reading it, look at the back and turn it over and like I still feel like I'm quite, cultured. But I had to pay $40 for this book, and I was thinking of doing something where I would read a chapter or 2 chapters or 3 chapters and then tell you guys what it's all about, because there is nothing. This is like kind of like scholarly articles you see online. Like you have to pay for the articles, and like a lot of people don't talk about them because they're copyright, but I'm going to call it like a book, like I don't know, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a book, not like a book club, but like analysis. So that's going to be in the mail by Wednesday. And I figured instead of waiting for my procrastinating self to read this entire book, because it's 224 pages, and look, it's been on sale since I like went to one of the best schools in the United States and study in China and Asia. Nobody ever told me they used to eat people because of the Cultural Revolution. Well, we're going to talk about it because I don't like the government of China, and I give 0 Fs. 0 Fs. I also officially declined studying at Shanghai University because I figured I have come so far on talking crap about the Chinese government. They probably only offered me a fully paid position just so they could make me disappear. So, yes, books exist. I love books. I have tons of books. I'm also going to read this book again. So, which is the last of war criminals from World War II and before that were alive were interviewed for this book, and some of their like heinous acts and some of the worst things you can think of are in here, admittedly, in this book. So I'm going to read that one. Yeah, I have a lot of books that I keep next to me. This one too. I call this my like keyboard warrior of politically correctness Facebook book. This is a social construction of difference and equality, just so I can throw some facts out there and sound smart. And I can be like, no, you're wrong. It's this percentage due to this study. So, yeah, I don't know if there's any questions. I could take some real quick. My kids are kind of being a little. Yeah, I like dark history. So, like cannibalism, like modern cannibalism. That sounds interesting to me. I don't know if anybody said anything about my my hair. It's not blue. My next topic, it's going to be about, okay, I can't enunciate the letters R. So my next topic is going to be about contemporary Japanese horror films, which I'm going to have to move. I actually wrote a 30-page paper about it, about how the manifestation of all the supernatural entities in contemporary Japanese horror films being primarily female is kind of like a way of the modern Japanese female like trying to fight the patriarchal ideologies in a very androcentric society still, even though it's quite modern. Japanese women are still stuck in like this limbo of like Ryosai Kenbo, good wife, wise mother kind of philosophy, but yet they're being pushed to work and be equals, yet they're being blamed for, the birth rate falling and like everything's going to collapse and it's going to be the woman's fault. So that's what I wrote a paper on, but we're going to be looking at more of like the iconic, how the female became iconified as a supernatural entity, all the historical and all of the metaphorical, the cultural, the cinematography, all those elements that go into Japanese horror films. I haven't watched any anime in so long. I'm more of like a Sailor Moon. So, Sailor Moon fan, and I haven't watched anime in forever. I'm not going to lie to you. So, yeah. It's going to be horror films, which I'm probably going to have to move back 2 weeks because I want to be sure. I kind of went on a little spa week, aka mental health week for 4 days. I kind of needed it, so I didn't get a lot done. Yeah, outdated laws on sexual harassment. Weird things about Japanese culture I'm going to talk about, like their work to death culture, all the interesting stuff. Yeah, you can tell how my mental health has faltered the last few years by the amount of times like my hair colors change. But I'm going back to black, so I had The Grudge. Yeah, The Grudge is a good one. The Japanese one, Ju-on. Geisha culture. I got you on geisha culture. So I'm just going to say geisha are totally misunderstood because after the American occupation, a lot of women were trying to make money after the country basically went into economic collapse. So a lot of like street workers and prostitutes said they were geisha, and everybody got the impression that geisha were prostitutes. They're not prostitutes. They're actually the height of Japanese aesthetics in terms of the art, the dancing, the music, like everything that Japanese culture is a geisha, and it's kind of been misbranded by the kind of impression they got after World War II. But I can dive into that too. So, yeah, culture. Yeah, don't even get me started on how they made that movie Memoirs of a Geisha with Chinese actors. Sorry, don't make me rant. Don't make me rant. But my mouth gets really dry. I also wanted to point out something. My friend Kei Asama, she's on Instagram. I don't know if any of you guys know what Visual Kei is. It's a type of Japanese rock that's kind of like grunge, gothic, like 80s hair band kind of like imagery. And she is a fantastic makeup artist. Not only that, she is Muslim, which isn't a big deal because Muslims are people too, and I'm like all about everything, but there's not a lot of women that do this type of like makeup artistry that follow her faith or that are open about it, especially Visual Kei. So she has a YouTube that she hasn't done anything with in a year, but I saw it on her Instagram today, and her Instagram is Kei Asama. She does the most amazing work with makeup. So absolutely amazing. And she has her hijab on. She is just the stuff that she can do with makeup. And she told me, I've talked to her on a few lives. She's not, she has like 10,000 followers, but she should have more than any of these other makeup gurus that we keep canceling. But she just does some amazing stuff with just such little like product. It absolutely amazes me. And she is beautiful. She is so nice. Like if you go to one of her lives when she does her makeup, she always talks to people. And I told her, like, nobody is doing this little niche of like makeup that you're doing, and you would be so popular on YouTube. She only has one video. I just posted in her YouTube comments, which was like a year old. I was like, girl, please get on YouTube. We need more people like her out there, just, representing cultural diversity and like this type of makeup. I think it's fascinating. That's my little stuff, my little shout out. So that's it. So yeah, sorry that this was kind of quick today. How long have I even been on? I don't even know. Oh, a little over a half hour. My kids are about to freak out. I'm like, close the door. Don't come out unless somebody's bleeding or you're on fire. I was like, or if somebody breaks in, do not come out of that room. And I said, yeah, stuff like that. Unless there's blood, fire, or imminent danger or death, do not open that door, or there will be no more YouTube or TV for the rest of the night. I know. I mean, we have to cancel so many makeup people. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but I like to look at the smaller people. So I'm not as I was tired. I made Easter dinner at like 11 o'clock because I didn't realize that it didn't take so long to make a ham, and nobody ate it. So I'm just tired. So I didn't do my makeup today. I just threw on earrings and stuff. So earrings, and I've been a little stressed out. My hair is turning white. I'm gonna look like a freaking candy cane here soon. It's gonna be like red, white, red, white. Oh, and then if you guys are looking in the chat, Adolwolf is actually my ex-boyfriend. We've known each other for like since high school. So we're gonna do like a dating show kind of where we like take questions and people's like questions, or we're gonna like talk about certain things. It'll be interesting because he knows everything about me, and he doesn't care what what he says, like, and he doesn't care what I. You know, you're gonna do the show with me. Yeah, this is the guy that my mom paid, I think, $100 and said, take her from my house and don't bring her back, please. And he was like, okay, I'll take the $100. We're out, man. And then a year later, then we broke up, and well, yeah, there's a story there. We'll get on this story. My internet is about to like crap out, so if anybody made any donations, I didn't check because I don't have a fancy alert system because too much stuff going on I just don't need. I can barely walk and chew gum at the same time. Worst deal ever. You're the worst deal ever. I don't know. Bargain? Somebody wouldn't even buy me for 5 cents now. Yeah, we have interesting stories. Like I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom without the door open for like a week because I got in trouble. Don't tell them why, but I got in trouble because I was bad. So, anyways, as I was saying, if anybody made a donation, thank you. I don't have anything that alerts me, so I don't know. You didn't have to. I just put it up there because everybody else does. Yeah, what did you spend the $100 on, Adolwolf? Probably me, because I'm like, if you don't buy this for me, I'll die. Please buy it for me. That's like the kind of person. If I don't have this Hannah Montana purse, do you remember I wanted the Hannah Montana purse from Walmart? I was like, if I don't have this Hannah Montana purse, I'll die. I am so lame. Yes, at his death, Adolwolf will be canonized as a saint for having to put up with me. Yeah, the Hannah Montana purse and the High School Musical jewelry. Okay, this was like 2009, guys. Handcuffs don't cost $100. They don't. They sure don't cost $100. But thank you everyone for watching. I don't want to put too much talking on here, but just maybe an after chat, which I'll do next time. It's just my kids are about to implode. So thank you very much, everyone. Everyone have a good night. I'm still getting used to not talking too fast while doing this. And I have to slow down because then my mouth gets dry and then I forget what I'm saying. But I did up the ante a little bit. Like I said, I made PowerPoint slide printouts and I put everything with headers. But maybe next time I won't procrastinate and I'll like practice it ahead of time so then I can just like look at the camera and tell you this stuff and not have to look at anything else. Thank you guys for watching and have a good day and the rest of your Easter if you celebrate Easter. But if you're like me, you just like rabbits and pink stuff. Love you guys. Good night.